Well, welcome back, everyone. It's been a while, but that's okay. Sometimes things, take a while to make them extra fun and yummy. But we may go back a little bit of a way so I can get everybody caught up because, we've had actually a couple of interesting sessions at this point. Probably more importantly, the team had secured the Obsidian Gate, participated in its sealing, and maybe even been given a bit of a reveal into a potential way of dealing with the Guardian down in the pit where the egg chamber might be being overlooked by a strange creature. And this kind of triggered a couple unique situations. One, it would seem that Xanath had a slight notion of this creature's sentient behavior and may even reflect more of a creature that is being forced or being imprisoned to do something, or maybe a creature trying its best to figure its way through some of these strange goings-ons. But the team, after receiving the stone, the rebirth, what do we call the stone again?
The Stone of Rebirth?
Yeah, the rebirth stone. My asterisks are correct this time. Being gifted the rebirth stone after sealing the Obsidian Gate, and then eventually saying their goodbyes to Sawtooth and letting the others know what their plans were. The team climbed the Scorched Lands ridge of the underlay and began their journey directly into the lands as opposed to going around and coming from the other direction. Unfortunately, no sign of the Guardian Rock that had been kind of missing or absent for the last day or so for some reason. But the team spent the day climbing the ridge, made their way up to the top of the ridge, and are now looking down on the Scorched Valley that is the inner workings of the kind of collapsed mountain range of volcanic debris, shattered, blasted kind of like landscape, the far-reaching scorched kind of magma rivers that run and string throughout the inside of the Scorched Lands. Here, they caught a glimpse of what was waiting for them. It is, I believe, the end of your... No, it's the end of your second day of travel, climbing the ridge, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right. And at the end of that second day of travel, climbing the ridge, you can't help but notice, looking down on this vast landscape and seeing humanoid figures silhouetted by the ash and smoke, as looking up in your general direction, fire giants, catching a glimpse of strange interlopers making their way into the region of the underlay. It is... The sun is just setting. Darkness is kind of just overlaying the edge of the ridge as you are at the end of your second day of travel. Realizing that you're not alone, but also planning on what to do next. What would you guys like to do?
Well, do we forgo sleep and try to get past these guys for a bit? Or sleep in shifts and try not to get ambushed?
Did the bad guys see us, or they're just kind of walking around?
They've taken note of you, but they're taking their time climbing up towards the ridgeline. Based on their size and distance, they're pretty far down away, probably a good 1,000 feet below you. And the only reason you can really see them is the backdrop of the lava fields, casting like an orange kind of glare and light upwards as the sun is just now beginning to set behind you.
I'm in favor of running now.
But running where? I mean, we're on the rim of this big. We're kind of stuck, right? And there's a chance maybe these things can be reasoned with.
You sound convinced.
I mean, we've had a lot of other stuff happen too that was not very, convincing at first thought. Jumping off the boat onto the back on the little dinghy on the back. That turned out good for us. Snatched you out of the water.
Ugh. All right.
I mean, you got Hadoukened off the side of the boat. And if I hadn't been back there.
What are rock giants like? Like, what do they eat and stuff? I'll see if I can, like, bribe them or something. I don't know.
Can I roll like a history? Would it be like some check of lore for the fire giants?
I mean, yeah, you give me a history check, see if you can remember anything about their society or understand their behavior.
If the bonus makes that. That's a 16.
16. There's a couple oddities about this location that kind of pique your interest. Based on when you are looking down at these things and understanding where you are, they really shouldn't be here. In reality, running into maybe fire elementals, other kind of like lava or fire-based creatures could be logical in this area. But these fire giants are clan related. They have their own kind of unique society. Typically, they prefer to live underground in volcanic ruins or even deeper, further down. This feels like they were drawn here. Something's drawn them here. Either through access points that you haven't found yet, deep beneath the underlay, or somebody else has brought them here. This is not the ideal warrens or condition that they would be in.
Well, first off, they seem really out of place here. They shouldn't be fire giants here. They're not surface dwellers. They usually stay underground. But they have their own clans. I mean, that's the reason I say we may reason with them. I am eloquent today. We don't know why they're not there. We don't know that they speak common, but at least I can understand what they say. If I can wave my hands in such a way as to make them understand what we're trying to do, and maybe we can offer them up something, they might grant us free passage, or maybe they'll actually take us through somewhere if we can find a way to communicate. Anybody speak giant?
No.
I've always dreamt of killing a giant. Does that help?
Well, you also dreamt of catching a T-Rex.
And
Don't
almost.
crush your dream. That is still
close.
Cards, Earthen.
I mean, you do make some fanciful tarts, but I don't think we have the tools for that here.
Do we want to get close enough to these guys to talk to them, or do we want to I know we had talked about just flying over them towards the volcano.
Yeah. I mean, I think it might be worth our while to reconnoiter on them, maybe.
Okay.
Um,
I'm going to pop up the dome where we are so people can run out and talk to the giants and come back if they try and attack us.
So I've got my fancy stealth clothes and I got a ring that lets me fly for an hour. I could at least try to fly down and listen to them because I can cast comprehend languages. If they're talking to each other, I can understand what they're saying. Maybe they don't want to eat us. They're just looking at us and smiling and they want to be really friendly. We don't have to look at them as bloodthirsty, fire-haired guys with giant swords on their back.
Uh,
I'm not asking you to go. Hey, we chased down your pirates. We chased after your ghost pirates.
Wow.
We did. I'm rolling all my charisma saves right now, okay? If I come back screaming, just come out and attack.
Oh, did he just freeze?
He might have. Uh-oh.
Oh, he did. Hey, look,
I'm back.
him out.
I thought the same thing. Oh! If I come back screaming, just come out swinging. I'll turn you into a dragon again.
That was pretty fucking cool, man.
Right? It was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you could try the stone thing like she was. The stone golem. She didn't really get to do a lot of attacks. She swung at the dragon thing.
I got him once.
Yeah.
Being a dragon was pretty fucking cool, I gotta say. Yeah.
So, Xanath, if you're casting the tiny hut, once you cast it, you're anchored to it.
Yeah, I'll stay where I am because it sounds like he's just going out to do recon.
Okay. So, takes the 10 minutes. Tiny hut comes into existence. Earthen, you're going to go and scout and possibly look into what the fire giant's behavior is.
Yep. So I'm going to cast Comprehend Languages first before
Okay.
I might wait and do that when I get closer, but depends on how long it takes. I've got an hour fly time with my ring before I have to sleep on it, right? So I'm
Give or
thinking, yeah. So I'm thinking with my fancy clothes that gives me advantage on stealth and some, at worst I might get captured by a giant, but
Earthen, what's your movement speed? I'm just curious.
30 feet, but I have my dash boots too, but that only helps me on the ground.
Okay, because I'm thinking I might kind of surreptitiously tail behind you because you're very, very squishy.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be flying down because it's like really not weird. It's like a vertical cliff face almost.
Yeah,
The
but
cliffs of
I can
insanity,
cross
if you may.
surfaces. I can literally walk across vertical
And anybody in the tiny hut becomes invisible because the tiny hut becomes invisible as well.
Mhm.
So at that point, the only way to gain access is to try to either dispel it or...
Well, the tiny hut is I can make it opaque, but it's not invisible.
Right. You can make
So
it
he'll
kind
know
of
where it
blend
is.
in with the
Yeah.
background. Yes.
Yeah.
So who's all staying at the hut and who's going with Earthen?
Well, before I
I'll
do
let
it,
Winter decides that she wants to, which is pretty stealthy.
Yeah,
She knows
well,
this environment. So
You can also keep your distance well and shoot them first if we have to, right?
And I go too.
Yeah.
Oh, I won't.
Are we just
No,
are we planning to
right
just get in a
punch.
fight? Like what's
I
the
wasn't
plan?
trying to
thought we were
fight. I was trying to
stealth.
go out and listen.
Like I don't
Everybody's
understand what we're
gonna
doing.
go, It's cool.
I was
If
hoping
If
that
we're just gonna go fight these guys, I'll go with and fight them.
So I'm looking like I've got this fancy anvil, right? Assuming we might be trespassing on their lands, but they don't belong here. This is not where they should be. So it could be that they're just as lost as we are. Maybe something in the mountain has displaced them. And if we can persuade them that we're all trying to do the same thing, offer up a gift, we can, have more than the 5 of us to go fight that crazy dragon thing that we both saw and you made your nose bleed. And ears and eyes and everything else.
So you're not stealthing. You want to talk to them.
Oh no, I'm stealthing first because I want to listen to them talking.
But the whole team is coming with, so you're not. I mean, we're
Well,
not
yeah,
stealthing.
maybe.
I
not.
was going to tag along because I'm also pretty stealthy, and Earthen is like, he's very squishy, and also I can literally just scale vertical surfaces like at my normal speed. So I'm stealthy. I can literally outrun him flying down there. So it's like, okay, if he gets in trouble, I can just snatch him and just run.
Well, I can dimension door away too if I have to. I can, dimension door 500 feet away, which gives me a good head start to fly back up.
Have we made any estimates on how long it would take us to reach them with your flying power?
Well, if that's 1,000 feet, and if I dimension door down, that gives me a 500-foot head start, right? And then I could fire, and then worst come worst, I could do the same thing to go back up and save flight time on my ring if I have to. Like worst case scenario, I gotta bolt out of there and just fly as fast as I can with the ring, right? But 1,000 feet shouldn't take an hour. I would hope. They're 1,000 feet below us.
And that part of that 1,000 feet below you is the inverted, fractured rock, the ash that spews from time to time. And even now, as you guys are having this conversation about whether or not to pursue the fire giants or just see what they're doing, and we'll hold off on Xanath's casting of the tiny hut until you guys kind of come up with this idea. Every now and then, that low rumble, like a tremor, a slight earthquake, just every now and then occurring, almost barely enough to feel it. And then way off in the distance, the glow of the volcano kind of spewing a fresh amount of ash and fire.
Can I do a nature check on that?
Sure.
That's a 9.
9. That's there's a volcano and there's a lava field and there's fire giants.
It's a rumble.
It looks dangerous. I mean, you've been in these environments before. You've never actually actively gone towards these environments before, but this is a pretty active environment.
Ooh. Okay, I'm just gonna stand behind the tall people then. In case of an eruption.
Punch and Lunch are watching you stand behind Spot, and then they kind of shift behind you and Spot. They're not thrilled, but they go where you go.
At least Punch flies. Lunch flies.
Yeah, I fly, but I don't necessarily want to fly down into that. I mean, can't we just use the I don't know, can we just go a different direction? I mean, this seems dangerous to all. Doesn't this seem dangerous to the rest of you?
Oh, extremely.
I mean,
yeah, but you say that with a smile.
We're on.
Yeah, this is fun.
He would smile. We're on the edge of a giant volcano with a stone that's on that belongs in the socket of some crest on the neck of some giant dragon further in the volcano, where the eggs are being tended, guarded, not destroyed, hopefully, that we're all trying to go and save. I mean, there's nothing about this that's not dangerous. We could turn around and go home.
Okay.
Well, not home, but we can turn around. But we're already here. And, do I really have all the confidence that Sawtooth and his people will be able to rescue the clutch? No. I don't. They couldn't rescue themselves from a maniac priest with a black mark on his face with some extra superpowers. They couldn't rescue themselves from that. So are they going to go in here and fight some crazy-ass dragon and win? Or are they all going to die? And if this gate thing's a real thing, I'm pretty damn sure now maybe something's behind that. Well, if they all die, what happens next?
Lunch just looks at you. It's a lot of... You're pretty hyped up, Earth, and I was just expressing some fear, but okay.
I'm trying to instill confidence, buddy.
Sure. I may have pooped a little bit, but okay.
Is that a gerbil I see?
There's a little mound of dragon poop, right where Lunch was.
Besides, what's the worst that happens? You turn into a coin?
Turns into a coin. Puck, you can feel them in your pocket again.
It's okay, buddy. You're doing the smart thing. We're the idiots. Okay, let's go march to our death.
I mean, how many fire giants do we see silhouetted, or did we see silhouetted?
Yeah, I mean, you saw one look up as if they
Yeah.
saw you come over the ridge.
Right.
Now that one that's looked up, since you've been in this conversation with each other, trying to plot your next move, you've kind of lost track of that one. But you can see a couple others further down. Some seem to be walking along a ridge line way further down. Some even, you watch as one kind of steps into a cloud of ash and then disappears as if they're walking deeper into the fields themselves, the lava fields themselves. But now, being on the interior side of the ridge, it's getting a lot warmer. I mean, there's no snow on the ground here. There's a strange sense of humidity, like where the cold from the other side slams into the ridge, where the heat's coming up from the ridge. It's created this like weird, like vapor of cloud and heat that it's almost like cold and hot colliding along the edge of the ridge, which, you know, with the cloud and ash, it doesn't really help with the visualization all that much. But you know they're down there. You've seen at least 2 or 3.
Well, giant-sized weapons don't forge themselves. We have a magic anvil that we don't know what it does, really. I don't know that we can do anything with it. I mean, besides cartoonishly drop it on someone's head or foot, you know. Right. Just turn the bag upside down and shake it, you know. So we could do those, you know, like the worst is we get down there, they're talking about they're going to eat us for lunch, and we fly back up and skedaddle, right? The best that happens, they fly down there, they're like, hey, did you see those travelers up there? Maybe they need some help. Or, you know, those guys are trespassing on our land, which I'll take that one too, because we can maybe work our way out of that. They might not understand what we say, but money talks, right? And if we have, you know, this fancy shiny anvil that they could probably make use of.
Actually, I think I can also cast it. God damn it! Never mind.
What does that do?
You can cast,
wait,
goddammit, never mind.
Wait, no, I can do this. It's
Is it like the opposite of divine intervention? Like
pass without trace, masking you and your companions from detection, and 10 plus 10 bonus on dexterity and stealth.
oh, yeah.
So maybe
I'm
we
all
can
about that.
try to avoid them and, you know, listen, but maybe not engage with them. They're a little scary to me, I have to admit.
I mean, I'm the only one that could understand anybody, right? So, or any of them, because I have that skill.
Yep.
Can't talk to them, but I can understand them, and I can perform and sing songs and dance and maybe make ourselves understood. Maybe, if it comes to that. But I think I'm the only one that needs to get close enough, like earshot of those guys. Everybody else can stay back at range.
Given the magical nature of the concentrating on pass without a trace, 30 feet, everyone has to be within 30 feet of Puck.
Yeah. So you just got to, so if we all go down there, you only have to be 30 feet away from where I am, which is wherever earshot of those guys is.
Okay. And then let's say they say something along the lines of like, ooh, we're evil. We like being evil. That's all we do.
And we just leave.
They're chanting around the fire pit. We're evil. We're evil. That's what we like to do. We're evil.
Right?
Let's say a scenario like this maybe comes. Do we just like maybe try to pass without them noticing us?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Of course.
That sounds perfect to me. I vote.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't sound like we're going to have any inroads with these guys, I'm getting out of there. I'm not planning on sticking around.
Okay. I'm a fan. Is everybody else okay with this plan?
So are we all going down, or are people staying behind? Because I can fly, but only for 4 minutes.
I can dimension door you down 500 feet, and we
Okay.
would be down first, closest to the lowest area. And then, if we got a scram, I could dimension door us back up to get us back up. As long as we got back to that point, I could dimension door us back up out of there.
Okay.
So with that, Zenith and Earthen, you're going to dimension door 500 feet down to a point you can see.
Yes.
Correct? How is
Yes.
everybody else traveling?
I'm going to stay out of sight, but I saw that ability where I can just scale vertical surfaces. So yeah, I
Okay.
pick my way through that. Just carefully lower myself down.
Okay. Puck, are you casting Pass Without a Trace now?
I think we do when we get down there.
Uh,
Should be right? Assuming 500 feet down is not a fire giant.
If you're asking for a good reason.
How long
I
does it
mean,
last?
I'm just curious.
I guess, are we all just going down individually, or I
mean,
guess
from this vantage point, there are pathways that kind of zigzag back and forth through the crags and the rock that go down into the ash and smoke that are like billowing up from the fields. You'd seen a couple of the fire giants kind of move through and around like they there was a brief moment that you thought one looked up at the ridge, but you're not sure if they saw you or not. It's almost like you could either all decide to walk down, although that could be a little bit more dangerous for some than others. It sounds like Earthen and Zenith are going to try to dimension door down to the furthest point that he can see at 500 feet, kind of like minimizing the amount of travel.
It would also kind of throw off detection of our location if we were at the top and then suddenly we're 500 feet down.
then okay. Also, is lunch able of carrying Punch down? Because I do need to think of a way to get the kitty cat down.
I mean, Lunch would probably be able to carry you down.
I mean, the cats are pretty. This guy can walk down the wall, so
Yeah, but Punch is, he's more of a fighter.
he's a climber. He can climb trees.
You know
Well,
what?
Is Winter going to walk down? Because Winter and Punch could walk down together, and then one of them could catch if the other person has a bad check.
Doesn't somebody have like crazy rope, magic rope that's long as it needs to be, or just a long piece of rope? I thought, what's his face? The little mouse guy gave somebody rope.
Not me.
Maybe I don't remember that right. I thought somebody got rope, or was it just string?
Just a ball of string for Spot.
Man, I thought somebody got rope. Charles Bronson and all that.
If we travel together, I can do Pass Without a Trace, and it just might be a little bit longer for us to get down and figure out a safe way, but I can't leave Punch behind. So I guess I'd probably have to walk down with Punch. Sorry.
Well, you guys are also ranged attackers, so if we get down first, what's the range on your arrows for both of you? I know, Winter, you got great range. You shot that raptor from like 500 yards back when we were on a boat on the island and the raptor was about to kill us.
It says 150 to 600 feet.
Oh yeah. So you guys like walking down, if our pace once Xanth and I get down there, Spot can kind of run down behind us. But even if Xanth holds position there while we start moving until you guys catch up, either way,
Okay. So I guess
think we'll be all right.
okay. So
We have like a base camp that we can get back to if we have to.
So I guess we'll just try to be stealthy, and I'll cast Pass Without a Trace once we get to your level.
So that Winter, Puck, and Spot start going down one of the nearby trails to gradually make their way down. So Winter, Puck, and Spot, give me stealth checks.
And we can give you guys like Xanth and I can give you guys a head start too, since we're gonna easy way it halfway down.
Xanth is like, I don't know if this is going to be as easy as you think it's going to be.
I mean, getting down 500 feet is going to be a lot easier than them going down 500 feet.
I just saw Spot's stealth check. That was my face.
What was it?
28.
Nice.
I have advantage on stealth checks, so
He's a like orange cat in a bunch of lava, so
Yeah,
he
well,
should
that's
totally
fair.
blend in, right?
Puck, what'd you get?
25.
Okay. Winter?
11.
So,
Hey, you
give
guys
me a
are real
roll
stealthy,
for-
right?
Give me a roll for punch as well, Puck.
Uh, 23.
23.
nice.
We have the same modifiers for those kind of things, right?
Well, punch would be, I think, would be off a dex bonus unless. Do you have the stat for? Because he's basically a tiger, right?
Yeah, I couldn't find one for tigers specifically. I did roll a couple, but I don't know if I did it right, honestly.
No, that's fine. Let me find one for you to use. I think I have one in my stat block generator. Give me one sec. Yep, I do. Let me post this for you in Discord, and then you can use it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. They do have +6 on their stealth.
Oh, nice. So that would be 22.
Okay, perfect. Let's go here. I thought it was already there. I don't know why I'm in a different channel. My brain. Oh, there it is. That's right. There you go. It's in the Discord, and then I pinned it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tiger. I would be shocked if the tiger was not stealthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a relatively stealthy stealthy animal. So you and Xanth linger on the outcropping of the ridge as you lose sight of the team beginning to make its way down the ridge. Slowly, but they're making their way. Until you hear somebody yell out, "Damn it!" And you could just see Winters like looking up and around after she inadvertently kind of like stumbled and like tripped on something, but the others kind of grab her quickly and pull her back away from the edge of the cliff and just kind of like pull her in, and then after a few moments they just kind of disappear, like the zigzagging pattern of the trail as it takes them further down. Right now, from your vantage point, Xanath and Earthen, watching them and looking at the spot that Earthen was focusing on, go ahead and give me a perception check with advantage because you do have height.
Ooh, I'm glad that was advantage.
Ooh,
I got a 14.
Okay.
22. Because I have a +9 to perception.
Between the two of you,
Plus
the ash and smoke are blowing into the base of the ridgeline, and they now obscure a good portion of what's down below. The eddies of air currents are now causing things to swirl a bit, and that fresh explosion of the volcano off in the distance, there's very small stones, like pebbles, kind of pattering around as the area has been kind of disrupted by a minor eruption. And you watch as everything you can see, Earthen, is just covered in smoke and ash, as you don't have a clear sight down below at the moment. You remember the spot, but you
Right.
can't actually visually see it.
Right.
As long as you remember where you're trying to get to, you can still try to get there if you want to.
So, I like peer over the edge. That spot I could see.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see it.
What happened? It just all looks smoky down there to me.
Yep. That's what I can see. Smoke. Yeah, smoke.
All
Lots
right.
of smoke. I can probably still get us there, or at least close.
Let's go. We can both fly. Let's go for it.
Yeah, worst come worst, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to, cast my dimension door. Act like I'm opening it up. And it's just, smoky stuff on the other side, right?
Really, the dimension door itself is a magical barrier that you step through.
Yep.
And stepping through that barrier based on your mental projection of where you want to be, that's where you're going to end up.
Yep. So I grab you by the shoulders because we got to go through together.
Mm.
Okay. And
As
through the door.
you step through, you're now in just a huge cloud of smoke and ash. It's almost causing you to like cough and gag a bit. And now you can hear like low rumbling thuds, like footsteps. Like just
how close?
Give me a survival check.
Guidance. It's a 15.
So
I'm
as you hear that and feel the tremors, you kind of look off to your right, and the smoke and ash begins to swirl with like an eddy of like forceful movement. And you watch the lower half of a fire giant walk by. As it's lifting its legs and setting its feet down, these huge iron boots, their legs are very much covered in like iron plates that are fastened together by leather workings. The upper part of their torso is partially obscured, but you could see the huge two-handed weapon on their back as the huge form just walks by within about 10 feet of both of you, swirls out of the smoke, and then you watch as they recede deeper into the smoke.
I'm going to go ahead
you
and
can hear
cast
their
comprehend
footsteps
language.
kind of like, receding.
I'm going to cast comprehend language, like realizing what's here.
Okay. How long does that last for?
It is 1 hour.
1 hour. Okay. Good to know.
And it's concentration, so if anything, no, it's not concentration.
No,
Just
it's duration. Yeah, It's just strictly duration. So with that, the two of you standing there, visibility is almost zero. You could, but even after that one walks by you and recedes into the ash and smoke, you could hear other subtle tremors of other footsteps moving about. And that's when you realize that you're on kind of like a pile of cinder, like just this huge pile of cinder gravel. And there's just this gradual collapse of all this gravel down into this kind of like pit-like surface. And then every now and then between the smoke and ash, you could see thin spaghetti-like trails of lava off in the distance. It feels like you've kind of like stepped to another inner edge of the ridge that is like collapsed cinder stone, that pumice stone that lava rock kind of turns into after it's been pulverized and kind of gone through a lot of volcanic eruptions. It is also a lot hotter down here.
This is great for my exfoliation.
Is the ground like sliding out underneath us? Like,
Not directly, no. It's a little bit loose, but it almost feels like small gravelly stones on solid rock is what it feels like.
Okay.
The journey down for Winter, Puck, and Spot and Punch is surprisingly easier because the way the trail goes back and forth provides you with enough stability and vantage points looking down as you move. The journey down, however, for the three of you takes about 20, 30 minutes. And by the end of that 30-minute walk down, that hike downward, you get to the landing that you remember Earthen pointing at. And once there, you could feel the pebbly stone underneath your boots and feet, the mixed with like the hard glacial rock of the obsidian volcanic rock. But sure enough, to his credit, there they are. And they're standing amongst the smoke and ash. You guys see coming out of the smoke behind you the other three. Meanwhile, all of you can begin to hear the sound of chanting voices. A steady thrum of deep-throated kind of voices ebbing up and down in kind of religious atonement. And it sounds like it's coming from way below you. But it's very deep and baritone and like almost like it's coming from a dozen loud individuals just coursing this great kind of religious kind of thrum up out of the cratered area. And then the wind shifts again as the eddies of current of ash and smoke swirl about. The five of you are now standing on the edge of a cinder pile looking down at about a dozen fire giants. They are collectively around this huge effigy figure. And it looks to be, oddly enough, in the shape of like a large draconic looking creature, but not very dragon-esque. Just kind of, it has these huge fabricated wings. Its body is fabricated out of stone and fossilized ivory and petrified wood and other things. And the effigy stands about 100 feet tall. So from your height, you're looking down at it from the top of it down its spine. And at the base of it, you could see these fire giants in kind of religious epitome. They're just praying to this thing. They're voice throating, chanting in its direction. Every now and then, one particularly large fire giant like gets up, walks over to a huge rock-like cauldron, reaches into it, pulls out a strange kind of glistening stone, and then places it at the feet of this huge effigy. And this goes on, staring down. This kind of strange kind of ritual seems to be happening.
Can I try and I see if I recall that thing?
Give me a history check.
The effigy, yeah.
Yeah.
Ha! That's nat 1 plus 5 plus 2, so that's,
No, it doesn't look familiar to you.
I don't know
at
what that
all.
Can I do a religion check?
I was
Sure.
going to ask the same thing.
Yeah, you two could do religion checks.
All right.
It's always the lore rolls.
It's got a
It's
nat
always the
one on
tell
my
me
religion.
more about this thing. If that's the theme of our group, right? You want to know more stuff? We're the know nothings.
I got a 10.
Got a big 4 on my end.
Can I do a nature check on this?
You can give it a try.
Just throw all the dice at it.
It's a nat 1.
I'm serious.
I got a nat
man.
one too.
We are cursed
We're
at
not
identifying
supposed to know.
like religious stuff.
Spot, what did you get?
A 4.
A 4, yeah. I mean, this entire scene is almost surreal to all of you. It's just this bizarre ritual that seems to be taking place. They've built an obvious something related to like an equivalent to idolatry, right? Just this huge fabricated idol that they seem to be worshiping to. And the voices that are singing and chanting Earthen, they seem to be referring to this thing as the Great Old One.
That doesn't sound good. Is there any more to what they're saying, or is it just continuously great?
It's thrumming, chanting, like their voices are harmonic and baritone, and then every minute it's interdispersed with the Great Old One. And then eventually you hear, "We are calling you." And then you hear, "We seek your aid." And then you hear, "We will find you." And it seems like they're trying to gather strength through a ceremony, is what it feels like.
Can I do an
I
insight?
froze
Whether or
again.
not I feel like this is a ceremony that might be towards a deity or something that would be friendly to our aims, or if it's just, or if I get a really bad vibe from it.
It feels like it's a ceremony that might be specific to their culture.
Okay.
Getting bad or good vibes, you're not sure if you know enough or feel like you know enough as to what this might be. But all of the dozen fire giants that you can see participating in this are all very much dressed up in their kind of clandestine kind of martial expectation. They're very heavily armored. They've got their they've got their weaponry attached to their back. They look like they're trying to gear up to pursue an assault or to do something that requires courage.
Okay. How far down are they?
About another 400 or 500 feet down into the base of the caldera. Just at the edge of where all the stone and cinder block or cinder stones all kind of meet. And then maybe another few hundred feet beyond them are the beginnings of the broken lava fields that kind of make off in the direction of the volcano.
Okay. These guys are gearing up for something, right? It's this chant. They're chanting on the Great Old One, seeking aid. This is a crazy idea, but what ideas that I have are not crazy, right?
Are you going to try to communicate via interpretive dance?
Yes, something very similar.
Actually,
I mean, I'll try common first. I'll try common first, but or a mixture of common and interpretive dance. But yeah, if I go and land on the shoulders of that giant statue, right, that they're praying to, and what if we're the aid that they're looking for, right? They want, they're calling, seeking his aid. I can say we come from this guy, right? And then, we can all show up down there, and we're gonna go do whatever maybe they're gonna go fight that dragon. Who knows? We might find out. I think I can be convincing in that. Okay. And if, again, worst comes worst, I think I can make it back here without them figuring out where I came from. They may probably going to start looking for us, but at least, I can get us away.
I guess technically it is only you that you're putting in danger. So
Yeah, I'm not trying to put you guys, I'm not trying to put you guys in danger, just me. Okay. Rule of thumb, never put the party in danger, just myself, right?
I guess I can respect if that's the choice that you're making for yourself. And I guess I'll be over here and I can cast Pass Without Trace when you get here, running away, probably because
I mean, I'm gonna
chanting.
if it's bad, I'm gonna dimension door back. Okay, like
everybody make Constitution saves for me, please.
No,
oh,
I knew it wasn't gonna work.
Taking damage. That's a 4. It was
Okay,
a
that'll
5. But I
fail.
lose 1.
Yeah, Zenith, what'd you get?
23.
You're good, although it's hot, it's humid, it's smoky. The ash is making it almost impossible to breathe. It's billowing up. Spot, what'd you get?
12.
Puck?
17.
Okay. Winter?
21.
So Spot and Earthen take 5 points of heat damage from the increased heat that your guys are now in. Everybody else takes 2 points of heat damage. You could feel anybody wearing metal. It's getting close to that point where it's like the effects of heat metal. Anybody wearing thin, any kind of like leather, it's, you could feel your own body sweat beginning to kind of sweat through the leather. You could feel your hair like matted with moisture from the increased heat. And it's at that moment all of you feel another low-lying rumble as yet again the volcano not only erupts off in the distance, but it seems to keep tempo with the fire giants doing their ceremony.
Like it happens to keep tempo, or it seems like it is really
It seems
related?
like it does. It's weird. It's either a coincidence or something. It's just has that bizarre vibe of, you feel the explosion and the eruption of the volcano off in the distance. At the very exact same time, the throat chanting gets really loud and baritone. The one fire giant that looks very different from the rest, they walk up to that rock cauldron, pull out like another stone, place it at the feet of the huge draconic idol, and they continue their chants.
Okay. I'm gonna. We gotta try this.
Do you want?
Worst comes worst, I'll come back. Magically.
Do you want enhanceability when you go in?
That would be great.
Do you want it on charisma?
Yes.
Okay. Oh.
How long does that last for?
I think an hour, but it's concentration.
Okay, so you're concentrated on that. To an hour.
And that gives me
That'll give you advantage on charisma rolls.
Okay.
Sweet. Charisma is the one thing I do really well.
Give me a strength save.
All right. Me?
Okay.
How to freeze a bard.
Yeah.
How to freeze a bard in 50 seconds.
So with that, Earthen,
Yeah.
are you heading down towards the ceremony?
I want to try and stealth first, like with my gear on, like, and activate my ring. So I'm trying to kind of stay with the smoke and stay kind of colored in the smoke to get onto the idol.
And that will actually give you some advantage, but unfortunately the condition of the terrain would give you disadvantage. So just give me a regular stealth check.
Well, my clothing gives me advantage, right?
Yeah, but they don't stack.
Oh, I thought it'd be, so I was thinking advantage, disadvantage, then advantage again.
No, that's stacking. They don't stack.
Oh,
Hey,
I tried.
Earthen,
I tried.
let me ask you this. Do you want me to see if I can get you a little bit closer to them for that? Because I have advantage on stealth. I'm a very stealthy kitty, so I can maybe try to guide you through some paths that might not be super obvious to you.
Oh, I'm flying. Yeah. But if you want to watch me, and if things look bad, let out some screechy roar thing. I mean, I don't have eyes in the back of my head, but you guys are eyes in the back of my head, right? Because you're looking at me and I'm going in front of you.
Still regular stealth roll.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Not terrible, but not what I want.
What'd you get?
That's a 13.
13. Okay.
It hovered on 1 for a second and rolled back over to 7. So that's why. Whew.
You guys just watch as Earthen kind of levitates up off the ground and begins to kind of like float down in such a way that he's trying to stay within the swirling eddies of like smoke and ash.
I'm also trying to use the statue as cover, like the idol as cover.
Well, that would require you to go way out and back in.
Okay,
You guys are up
it's
and
like,
above looking down at it.
well, yeah, but like advantage of where from the vantage point that they're looking up at us. I'm trying to come from behind the statue, right?
Okay.
Because I want to land. Ultimately, I want to land on the back, like on the back of the statue, and come around to one of the shoulders.
Well, I rolled really shitty. So fortunately for you, you managed to stay with the edge of the smoke and ash. You course out over like where they're all, but now you're in the depths of the smoke and ash, and now you can feel that heat kind of just pummeling up towards you. Give me another con save.
Oh, it's gonna hurt. Oh, that was a nat 20 that time. So that's a 19.
19.
Oh, no.
Only 2 points of heat damage as once again, it's like all the metal and anything on your body that's metal, it like kind of enhances the sensation of the heat. But you managed to course around the huge 100-foot tall idol, and you're now behind it looking down at the fire giants. They're in the midst of this ceremony. And now that you're closer to the idol, you give me a nature check. See if you recognize what it is.
Ah, that was a good roll. Plus, so that's 23.
Okay. You recognize that it's the body of a T-Rex in representation, but larger than anything you've ever seen. They seem to have fastened like constructed wings designed to make it look like wings. And inside the idol, they've put a lot of flaming debris and stone to kind of give it this glowing like effect. And being closer to the sound of the ceremony and the chanting, you can hear that it's picking up pace. It's becoming much more intense. And then as you're behind the idol, there's a burst of flame coming from the effigy itself. Like it explodes outward away from it. And you watch as this little flaming creature, maybe about 2 feet tall, pointed ears, you watch as a flame method comes out of the effigy. And its little form kind of playfully drops down, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one, as about a dozen or so fire methods drop out of the interior of this effigy. You then watch as this elongated flaming arm pushes its way out of the center of the effigy as well. And you watch its hand is closed around something. And as it extends outward a good 20 feet, the hand lowers an object onto the ground and releases it in front of the one fire giant that looks like they're wearing very shamanistic kind of attire, like they were a priestess or a priest that were doing the ceremony. The flaming hand then retracts with the memphits kind of hanging off of it, either cackling or laughing. The arm and hand pull back into the flaming effigy. The memphits pull back with it. There's a slight explosion of flame and ash. And then the chanting stops.
Can I see what the thing was that got set down?
You look over the edge. Give me a perception check as you look down towards it. Once again, you normally have advantage, but with the ash and cloud, it's more of a regular perception check.
That's okay. I've got a +9 on that, so that's a 22.
22. It is a very large clump of lava. It's perfectly spherically round, and it's got almost like thin cracks running along its surface, permeated by like yellow and orange light, kind of like glowing on its surface. The sphere is maybe about 10 feet around.
Like an egg or just a...
It's not shaped like one. It's a
Yeah.
perfectly round sphere.
Okay, I'm gonna just kind of wait now because I wasn't expecting that. So, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Spot. I'm just gonna wait for a second and see what happens next, because if I interrupt a ceremony that's actually already gonna go in our favor, that would be a bad thing.
So with you waiting to see what happens next, the four of you have lost sight of Earthen. He's somewhere beyond the idol. You're up on that inner ridgeline looking down, and you watch as all that happens. And then in front of the ceremonial fire giants, a perfectly sphered clump of lava with surface cracks in it is just laid down in front of the larger fire giant that was performing kind of like at the head of the ritual. What do you four want to do? And it is, I mean, it's nighttime now. The sun, you're way below the event horizon for the most part. And it is dark. It's ashy, it's smoke, it's hot. It's getting miserable down here.
Does the tiny hut have AC?
It is comfortable inside the tiny hut as a rule. So actually, for real, let's see.
It
The
is.
atmosphere inside the space is comfortable and dry regardless of weather outside. So I could pop it up. It would take a minute.
I'm gonna have to go back to the tiny hut.
Can we see what's going on from where we are, or is everyone just kind of out of sight now?
You can't see where Earthen is. You've lost track of him. But you have a pretty good visibility looking down into the ceremony, because this part of the crater is just these like swirling eddies of wind and current that bring ash and smoke in and blow it out almost as quickly as it gets brought in. You also watch off in the distance. Yet again, the volcano kind of gives off a brief kind of spray of eruption that lights up the horizon. And once again, you could feel a little from the previous explosion that happened about 5 or 10 minutes ago. Little tiny pumice stones start pattering around on the ground.
Can I do a nature check on the creatures that came out of the portal they created? Did I?
Sure. Go for it.
This is miserable. I got 11. It's impossible.
The random number generator is on fire. You don't necessarily recognize what they were. They seemed strangely otherworldly, would be the best way to describe it.
Oof. Can I tell if they're Fae at all? Since it's technically my favored, and beasts are my favored.
They are neither. That much you know for certain.
Okay, that's helpful. I have a bad feeling, you guys.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to get involved in this. I'm starting to feel like we want to just keep moving.
I'm going to do another religion check just to see if that does
Go
anything.
for it.
I'll give you guidance, Spot.
Okay, what does that do?
It gives you 1d4.
Okay, I got it in that one, so I wouldn't worry about it. No, this seems fine. This is cool. This is legit.
I thought the goddess of luck is your, deity.
She doesn't like me very much right now. Probably because I'm fucking with a cat right now.
So what are you four doing?
I can put up the dome so we're not doing con saving or con checks, but I think we might want to, I think we should keep, this seems like maybe we don't want to get mixed up in it. We might want to keep moving.
So Arthur, from your vantage point, the fire giant leading the ceremony goes over and picks up a huge section of cured skin of a creature you don't recognize. It sets it down and then kind of gently pushes the spherical object onto the skin. And you watch as 4 fire giants come over. They run these poles, these iron poles, through loops in the skin, and they pick up the object. And they pick it up kind of like stretcher style. And they start walking forward with the shaman in the lead. The fire in the idol fades, and now the entire cadre of fire giants are following this procession as they begin to head out towards the middle of the lava fields. And within moments, because of their long strides of their legs, all of you lose track of them as they just disappear out in the expanse of the lava fields.
Well, that's time for me to go back.
Eventually, as you guys are pondering what just happened, Earth and lands like on the edge amongst all of you.
You can't
What
get
the
it
hell was
until
that?
You were here. I put it up.
What the hell was that? Did you see that?
So okay, is the hand that, came and there was like maybe a chuckle involved.
There's little things all around it too.
Does it all remind any of us of like the thing in the volcano?
No, this feels different. The thing in the
No, I think
volcano,
the volcano was shadow. It was
yeah,
like really
it felt like
shadowy.
shadow, deceit, mind manipulation. This felt like raw strength, like just a sense of raw power.
That thing definitely had the body of a T-Rex, by the way.
Well, fuck.
And you guys are like staring at the effigy of whatever they built. The fires inside of it has now gone out. So it just looks like they just kind of built an amalgamation of something of what they're familiar with to create this huge effigy that they just did an offering to. And at some point, something erupted, gave them a gift, it closed, and they accepted it, and now they're marching off over the lava fields. And you've lost track of them because, once again, the heat, the dust, the ash is very choking here. It's very omnipresent, and even now you're beginning to feel dehydrated.
So, looking at the map, at the map of the Dark Depths, roughly where are we right now?
You guys would be...
We started at the gate, but then
Right.
around where the hand was, and we went over, and the hand was still over there, but then we kind of...
You're on the ridge line between 1 and 2. And you're looking down on the lava fields that spread out towards the shadow peaks.
Okay.
And the only thing you could see is Lava Worm Reach, the great volcano out in the midst of the lava fields further out, which are brighter now because of the intensity of like the dark environment around you.
So the mist veil would be it's just over the ridge. We can't see it, right?
Correct. It's like,
Okay.
it's marked on your map to be further left
Yeah.
and down behind some other mountain ranges.
Okay.
Your current activity makes you feel like you're completely off to the right,
Sure.
where
Yeah.
you came down that ridge and down into this part of the crater of the underlay.
Can we still see any sign of that giant statue with the hand?
Oh yeah, that's always omnipresent off to the right.
Okay.
You can see the huge rock carved arm. It jets up in the air a good 200-300 feet. And you could see that it's almost like, now that you're slightly below it, it's almost built like a platform of stone.
Can we get? Can I roll like investigation on it, just to get a better look at it? If we can tell what.
A little too far away for
okay.
investigation. You'd have to be over and up on it for that.
Well, I was wondering like what being it is. Is it like a giant human? Is it a dwarf or some other?
I mean, it
figure
feels
that
like
we
it's
can't tell?
it feels like
No.
it's an effigy of a humanoid arm, but there's not really enough detail to tell you, any more detail than that.
Okay.
This does seem to be carved from volcanic rock.
All right. Well. That was creepy. I really think that thing was an egg of some kind. I don't think it's just. What are they going to do with a giant ball of lava? Nothing. There's got to be something inside of that. I don't want to know what that is, though. Well, I take that back. I wanted to know what that was until they walked off with it, and now I don't care what it is.
What direction is the clutch?
It is on the opposite end of where you currently are, but slightly to the left. From the map perspective, you believe it to be somewhere in between the Ember Fields and the furthest edge of the Misty Vale. It's about the area where you saw them digging the excavation site, the mine pit.
That's where we need to go. Puck, what does your map show right now?
I guess I pull out a map.
We haven't looked at that for a long time.
The volcano area has always been a little tricky, kind of full of smoke and shadows, but I can try. Maybe being closer helps a little.
I mean, we're inside of it now, maybe?
I open it up and try to concentrate.
Once again, you open the map, you concentrate on it. It's unreadable. Once again, that feeling of an arcane veil that's preventing it from being used. Something is causing it to be impeded. And it's actually worse now than it was outside of the area effect of the volcano. It feels like the magic is being distorted, that to the point where the map that should show you things more clearly, it's almost like visual static.
Oof. Well, something is definitely messing up with my map perception.
I tried a spell earlier today to find the path, and it also was just totally messed up. Wouldn't show me anything. So there's something powerful in this area.
Can I cast detect magic and see if I can't narrow down what it is?
The entire area that's around you, within the immediate effect of detect magic, feels like a slight sense of magic, almost like a fog of magic. When you look in the direction of the volcano and you walk that direction just a few feet to test the resonance of the detection, it feels like it gets more confused and less pronounced the closer you go in the direction of the volcano.
Can I take out the bag of residuum and pull out a pinch and blow it and see how that reacts in the air?
Give me a sleight of hand as you do that.
Nat 20 on a sleight of hand. Hell yeah. That's a 26.
As you take a pinch of residuum out and you fling it up into the air, you watch as it immediately bursts into a radiant kind of flame effect that just cascades like ripples on a pond. And it cascades out, and then after about 10 feet, fades.
Well, that was cool and not at all what I thought would happen.
So what does that mean?
I wondered, so there's magic everywhere in here. Everywhere. It's like we're sitting in a magic cloud right now in the middle of a volcano. And so I was thinking maybe this is residuum volcanic ash So let me pull out the residuum and see if it looks any different when I throw it out there. And then that happened. I don't know what the hell's going on here, guys. But it's hot and it sucks.
Everybody give me con saves, please.
Are we in the hut? I thought we cast the hut. Oh,
Well,
man.
Everyone's in the hut except for Earthen.
So I'd say, Earthen, since you lingered the longest out there, you'll need to give me a con save. Everyone else is inside.
Man, I used up my nat 20 already. I did it again, though. Yes.
Hey.
So you only take 2 points of heat damage.
Another 19.
But all of you are now inside the tiny hut. Stuff pretty much, I mean, it only became evening within the last hour or so. So it's still have some time. But you no longer feel the effects of the heat, the ash, the smoke, and the choking dust. You're out of that. The interior of the tiny hut is kind of a comfortable climate, so you're not necessarily feeling that effect anymore either.
Thank you, Xanu.
Should we try and, because I think everyone is kind of beat up, should we try and sleep and then keep moving tomorrow morning?
I mean, you're a good 12 hours away from early morning.
Oh, really?
But if we set off before daybreak, though, we could have theoretically we have an advantage. I mean, not like we can really see daytime down here, but we could have an advantage going against whatever else might still be asleep.
Aren't you literally the only one of us that doesn't have night vision too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm in decent shape. I'm perfectly willing to just kind of trudge on. But yeah, just
We could go another 4 hours and then go to sleep if we wanted.
Too bad we can't move the tiny hut with us.
I know, that would be sweet. Oh,
I was-
can
I
I
was-
move the tiny hut?
Like-
That seems OP. Probably not.
Just
That'd be amazing.
In fact, as soon as if you were to
all the
leave
time.
it would automatically dissipate.
Yeah.
if you could telekinetically move the ground
That would
with
be
the tiny
so
hut,
sweet.
you just fly away.
That's when I reach level 20. I can move.
Yeah, right.
uh,
Oh man. Well, it sounded like Spot volunteered to keep watch. So
okay, everything. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, you'll do it.
All
I'm
right,
gonna before I crash though, I'm gonna flip through the book again, the spell book. I think I identified it last time. Just seeing if I can glean any more. I got it was the Glyph of Translation. It was the Book of a Magical Device, the Book of Secrets, writing illustrations and all that stuff. There was the Great Hand in the Cloud of Smoke. Saw that. Meteorite hit. Dark darts floating in the air. A hand pulling a dead form from the ground. It was a book of shadow sorcery and necromancy stuff. I was just trying to see if there's anything else I could learn from the book at all, or if that's just kind of it.
It feels like you've exhausted most of the detail of the book at this point.
All right.
Anybody else want to do anything before settling in to a long rest?
Well, I was actually going to kind of keep watch, more or less. I don't know. Well, is there really any reason to, given that we have the tiny hut? But
Can I?
Well, I mean, creatures can stumble upon it purely by accident. I mean, its existence is tangible.
All right. Well,
You can see through and out of it. And although Xanath has augmented its outer form to try to blend in with the natural environment, it could be found.
okay.
No one
Just
can
no
get
one-
in, though.
No one could get in.
Right. So I will go ahead and do that, given that we have a whole bunch of very large peoples about. But I'll just get in the meditative pose, just get in a comfortable asana and just expand my my perception around, just kind of focus on things outside the tent.
Okay.
Can I focus on the stone then? I'm gonna pull out the rebirth stone and just see if I can't recreate a glimpse of that image I had, that sensation memory, whatever it was, when I picked up the stone?
Yeah, the strange thing about the stone is, although it showed magical kind of like tendencies and appeared to be magical, for now it's gradually become inert. It's still a very fascinating stone to look at, but there's no sense of connection with it. There's no sense of realization or understanding. Just this strange looking stone that accompanied its original kind of understanding when it came into effect. Anybody else before we go into our long rest?
Can I try to scry on Sibo?
Yes, you can actually.
I think she is. I think I'm familiar with her, so she should have -5. And with with my staff now, I think it's a Wisdom save of 18, and then she would have a -5 to that.
Okay. So, Earth, you're studying the stone. Xanath has slipped into her scry state. Spot is meditating, keeping an eye on things. Puck and Winter, anything you two want to do?
Can I do primeval awareness?
And what's the max range on that? Up to a mile?
Like 6 miles, I thought, wasn't it?
Yeah.
6 miles?
6 mile in preferred terrain. Technically, my preferred terrains are mountains, oceans, and jungles.
We can say this counts for mountains. I'm okay with that.
Okay, so that will be.
We're on an island of jungles and mountains in the middle of the ocean.
And what are you specifically trying to use this ability to pick up on?
Does anybody have any suggestions on that? I feel like we've seen a couple of strange things.
The dragon thing? If it's even a dragon. Remember, I couldn't tell what it was. It looked like a dragon, but I couldn't tell what kind or anything like that.
Okay, so I'll do... Can I do, since we're going to take a long rest anyway, can I do for 2 unseparate moments just before I fall asleep?
Sure. I'm okay with that. Winter, anything you want to try to do before this long rest kicks in?
Am I allowed to do a nature check to see if I hear anything or feel anything like around us?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take our 5-minute break, and when we come back, we'll resolve all these individual activities. We'll be back.
No more hurt from the break.
Uh-oh, I hear a chuckle.
I think you want us to steal the game?
Maybe.
Hijack the whole story?
Yes. I mean, can you think of a reason why that wouldn't work?
I mean, the
Yes,
haversack of holding has a weight limit.
Huh?
It does have a weight limit.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
You put it
I was
in
500 pound weight. Yeah, the amble's only like 100 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What has a weight limit?
the haversack of holding.
Well, I know
It was like 500 pounds.
No, the haversack more than that. The bag of, like a small bag of holding would be 500 pounds. A regular bag of holding would be like 1,500 pounds, and then like a haversack would be like 2,500 pounds.
Well, maybe we could steal the game.
And Arthur, I know, like, physics, and you have to be able to fit it in there. But on the other hand,
fantasy physics.
Yeah, fantasy physics, and we have to be able to like muscle it around in there. But on the other hand, plus 13 to sleight of hand. So I don't know. I think like
You're not getting any muscle out of me. Like, I'm a -3 to strength, okay? Even on a nat 20, I'm a 17.
I think I'm base 8. All my stuff is dex based. So yeah, I'm a -1 to strength.
We're not the strongest group.
That makes my +1 for strength feel like really good.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
no.
Winter, what'd you get for your nature check? I always love the facial expressions she gives.
It's a 12.
A 12? Okay. Puck, what are you focusing on for your primeval awareness? That you're going to do this a couple times before settling into your sleep.
Oh, can you find the rock?
So I can do elemental as well. So I'll just on account of what we've seen, I'll do one for elemental and then one for the dragon.
Okay. And for Spot, in your meditative state, just keeping an eye out, keeping almost like a mental focus a bit. Earthen already trying to figure out if maybe there's something special about this stone, but it's surprisingly neutral, inert, not nearly as fanciful as it was when you encountered it back at the Obsidian Gate. The one thing all of you don't really pay much attention to, kind of either lost in your own thoughts or keeping just the general awareness around you, is, Xanath, you slip into your scry effect. Your eyes kind of white out your mind and your consciousness using the ethereal kind of like veil to step out of yourself and into the ethereal space, and to use that as a means to project your mind and thoughts outward from where you are. And your mind is pulled in the direction of the volcano itself. And as you're pulled in that direction, the landscape below you is a blur of red, oranges, yellows, strange figures marching across the landscape, pulsing outward. You just fly until you're at the edge of the root of the mountain itself, the huge volcano erupting in front of you. The scry pulls you down and down to the base of this volcano. and pulls you into an inlet of rocks at the base of a cavern entrance. And there, kind of huddled together, is the Dampier and the gnome. Total
Sibo.
mind.
Sibo.
Thank you. I was thinking of a different name, and I was having an inner monologue battle with my brain. I was like, "That's not the name you want. You need to reverse the Rolodex."
These are not the names you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. And they look worn. The Dampier looks worn, but not tired. Like, someone who's been moving through the landscape. And there's Sibo and the Dampier. They're both kind of resting up against the interior of an overhanging bit of rock. They seem to be at the entrance of a lava tube. And beyond them, you could see where it kind of goes up into the mountainscape of the volcano itself. But they look like they're under some kind of protection or ward, because you could literally see the heat waves like shimmering in your visual spectrum. It is incredibly hot where they currently are, but it's not having a full effect on them for whatever reason. Meanwhile, around the roots of the volcano, little rivulets of lava, active lava, kind of bursting up, and like a fountain of lava kind of just pops up off to the right. You could also see a creature kind of crawl out of the lava. First, you see this thin tendril of a hand and something kind of serpentine with a kind of strange looking body pulls itself out of the lava, crawls on top of a rock, and its hunchback form sitting on the rock looking around. It almost stares directly at where Sibo is, but doesn't seem to recognize that it can see her. You get the feeling that your ethereal vision is allowing you to see them transparently through Sibo's tiny hut. And you get the feeling she's allowing you to.
Oh.
Like maybe she's aware that the opportunity for you to track them may happen, even though she doesn't recognize that it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then with a matter of moments, the sky fades, you feel yourself get pulled back in, and you're back inside Lehman's tiny hut with the others.
I'll tell the team. I just tried to scry on Sibo and Caliban. I think maybe she let me see her. It looks like they're right at the base of the volcano, maybe even trying to move up it, but they're resting right now. They seem safe. They seem like they were kind of in a hut like this one. I can't totally tell what they were looking for. There are creatures around there. There was like a sort of snake creature that crawled out of the lava, but it didn't seem to see them.
Now that she's mentioned that, can I kind of focus my perception, see if I can hear or sense anything nearby like that, now that I kind of have an idea?
Yeah, give me a perception check, as you're still kind of just on this kind of like meditative overwatch from this position.
As a 21.
Okay. For you, Puck, as you listen to Zan's description, there's a moment that you focus on the idea of fire elementals and elemental creatures in general. And your awareness from where you are blossoms outward in the expanse of the area. Dozens of little points of recognition kind of pop off in your mind as lava elementals, flying flame elementals, fire elementals in different raw states of existence.
Ooh.
The feeling of a vast network of lava fields that are erupting and creatures are being newly formed every time the lava erupts in your mind. You think about a group of lava elementals near the volcanic lava fields. But then as you just wait a few seconds, there's a burst of like energy, and about a dozen more of them appear, almost as if they've been spat out of some kind of gateway or something.
Oh,
But
God.
by far the most prominent feeling you get is a single identifying marker of a fire elemental that is incredibly small but pulsing with tremendous amounts of arcane power. And it's being very slowly, it's like slowly moving in the direction of the volcano, almost as if it's being carried.
Whoa.
Oh, oh no. Well, I tell them,
Got that thing. I knew it was an egg.
well, it seems like we're gonna be fighting a lot of elementals. And I tell them all of it. Just
Winter, you get this sense of Elendril have a natural survival instinct when it comes to certain realities. You're not really sure what caused you to think of this, but as soon as Puck starts telling her tale and what Xanath is describing, there's a notion in your mind that there have been times in the Fae that certain occurrences happen. And these things over time from the Fae have been called dredgeries, is what they're referred to. And these are significant changes in the magical landscape of the Fae, where for some unknown reason, whether it's an interaction with magical existence or magical relationships of the different kind of like planes of existence between the different shifts of magic, that these dredgeries are kind of the effect of something happening directly related to very, very kind of natural magics. And this space that you're in, this entire kind of these depths of this area that you're in, if you were in the Fae, this feels like the origin point of a drudgery. And some of the courts of the different Fae are convinced that if they could identify the source of these magics, they could better understand how these drudgeries come into existence. You get the feeling that you're in the midst of one. And the only thing that the Fae courts had ever been able to demonstrate what these drudgeries might mean is that an accidental gateway into another plane of existence was never successfully closed. Something was left open that wasn't meant to be left open. And listening to everybody's stories is kind of making sense. These elementals coming into existence, the fire giants being out of place here. And that's when you realize there might be a gateway open to the fire plane that should not be open. That might explain all this strange collusion and collision of behaviors of different magics and different existences. For you, Spot, just the natural sense of awareness for you, listening to the others ponder, talk, wonder about this space. For the very first time, you get this like hubris chill that kind of like runs up your spine. This place for you in your mind's eye of everything that you've tinkered with mentally, and the readings of religious scripture, the ponderings of what things could and couldn't mean, this feels like a space of convergence. This feels like a great focal point of both accident and eruption of power at the same time. With that, Puck, you focus for a second time. You focus on the dragon. There's no sense of a physical dragon at this point for you. Your mind is pulled towards the interior of the volcano. And somewhere, deep, deep down in the warrens of the volcano, a restless individual sits atop something akin to like a obsidian throne of stone and volcanic matter. And their mind is lost in thoughts of escape. This isn't the shadow feeling you've had before. This is something totally different. It has the intent of being draconic in nature, but it's almost like it became something else. And right now in this form, it still gives you a little bit of awareness of its existence, but it's a ice cold awareness of pure indifference. That something like this has disrupted its existence, and it can't get out and it can't get away from what's trapped it here.
Oh god. Well, it seems like there's something else in the depth of the volcano that is very different to what we have been dealing with so far, but is also trying to escape. I give them as much description as I possibly can, especially of the demeanor and any identifiable means of what it might be.
Xanth, it sounds a lot like Puck is describing that person that you had that quick kind of shadowy vision of, that entity.
Yeah, it feels like that entity that reached out to me in a dream, that it was a dragon, but maybe not a dragon, that it was trapped, that maybe it was held prisoner. The thing about cold indifference feels odd.
It's
I'm going
certainly
to at least attempt not to break my posture, stay very focused on that, but just kind of rattle off what I was able to determine that, whatever is going on is definitely where we are is a convergence point. Like I can just kind of feel it in my soul. Like, this is very much a opening between realms, like they were thinking of.
Is the second power a power we could align ourselves with against, something worse? Or is it something to avoid and maybe try and keep at bay?
Do I perceive anything? Or am I able to kind of...
Convergence are strange sensations. I mean, sometimes they create religious visions that people may have. Sometimes it's under the notion that multiple entities of power that exist in kind of both pantheon existence or alter planes of existence are converging here. Like there's a sense of power and its lack of control going on here. Almost as if it's a great wound in Exandria that has never truly healed.
Oh.
I could try to send a message to that thing that I saw in a vision. I don't know if that will work, but I could try and find out what it wants and if it seems friendly.
I'll stand by with a healing word in case you start bleeding from orifices again.
Love it.
Oh god, no. Well,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna send you good vibes.
Oh, incredible. I love it. Can I try and cast sending to the creature that I saw in the dream and say,
the fuck do you want?
yeah.
Hey,
I'll say, I'll say, I saw you in a vision. I'm close. What do you want? How can we help you?
This is a bit more eloquent than me.
What's up, man? Are you like stuck in the volcano, dude?
Yo,
Yo,
It's
bro,
hot.
look, man. I used to have this cool dragon that used to hang out with me down at the beach, and we both got separated. You know, you can recognize us by our funky kind of Gwendolian accent, our coastal regional accent.
I know that dragon, dude. I know him. We're friends, man.
I noticed that we need to get Xanath drunk at some point and get her to something celestial.
Give me a concentration save, Zenith.
Okay. I'll use resistance. All right. That's a 9 plus 3 is 12 plus 3 is 15.
Okay. As you send out that message, you focus on what you remember having that experience with, and with Puck's telling of that awareness, you wait about a minute or two. For the rest of you, as Xanath seems very focused on this, you watch as the tiny hut glitches momentarily. Like it just glitches and then reasserts itself.
Ugh.
I don't like that.
Xanath, you feel a connection with something.
Mm.
It feels old. It feels ancient. It feels like you know it shouldn't matter that you're in the tiny hut, but you feel ice cold as you sit patiently, kind of waiting for this response. It's almost as if it never really responds to you, but you feel the connection. You know it heard you, but it's almost as if its own mind was too clouded or too shrouded to understand what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the level of that cold indifference, that cold apathy of a very ancient creature just kind of permeates your mind. It almost did it enough to cause your spell to fade, to cause Tiny Hut to fade. But you managed to hold on to your concentration to where it only slightly glitched, and then you come out of the spell effect and shake your head, unable to get a response from it.
I felt it, and it feels really cold and apathetic and maybe confused, kind of shrouded, but it didn't speak to me. I think it heard me, but it didn't speak.
Did it feel malicious at all?
It felt indifferent and apathetic. It felt like maybe it had been in that volcano for too long to care very much about anything going on up here.
Isn't that kind of how the giant turtle guy reacted when he tried to talk to it, Puck? Just kind of leave me alone, like, eh.
Actually, exactly that. With the slight threat of, if you do it again, I'll kill you.
You felt the turtle like turning its attention toward us after the ritual, right?
Yes, it was almost as if the storm was somehow connected to it. And again, whatever is in the volcano knew about it and seemed to be interested in it. I don't know how those, big beings are connected to one another.
Yeah.
Sounds like Charizard and Blastoise.
The ancient legend of Charizard and Blastoise.
Oh my god, okay. Total tangent.
I mean...
I totally apologize. I have not been able to defeat team leader Cliff for the longest time. I finally patterned together 3 grass-type Pokemon that finally pulled it off. Finally. That had been sitting in my event quests forever. And across the street at this Pokestop, the Team Rocket Cliff finally popped. And this thing had been sitting in my event quest for so long, and I finally beat the bastard. I finally beat that bastard.
Hey.
I know, horrific nerdy tangent. I apologize.
It's okay. I kicked it off, as I do best. Well, I'm knackered, guys. I'm ready to. The stone is not doing anything. I'm kind of bummed. I thought I could learn something from it, but it's not. It might as well just be a rock now. Not the fun kind, but the solid kind.
Well, we felt a lot of strange elemental power from it, but it's small, so maybe we have some time before it's like a problem. Maybe we'll be in a different island by then.
Well, or we have something to hunt.
Gonna go to sleep.
All right. So while the others are sleeping, I was curious if I could do one thing.
Well, are you guys setting up a normal watch, or how are you doing this?
Well, I'm pretty okay. I don't really need a long rest. I'll be all right with just kind of doing a short rest on this. That's fine. I'm only down about 15 hit points.
A short rest will prevent exhaustion at the very least.
Right, exactly. So, I was curious if while they're resting, am I able to, would it contravene the rules for a short rest if I was able to kind of zone out and just kind of maybe work on something like some pemmican or some field rations to make them more palatable, just something to do with my hands while I'm focusing on the world around me.
Use your natural food instincts to kind of fidget yourself into a sense of calm.
Yeah, pretty much. Just kind of fall into a recipe that I know. It's not supposed to be gourmet. It's something to keep us going, but it's also something I can focus.
Give me an intelligence check for starters.
Oh, that's going to be bad. That's not a smart kitty.
Well, you got to be smart enough to assemble the ingredients. So intelligence for a starting point.
All right. Roll that. There
We'll say you're taking, and we'll say, oh, nice. And we'll say you're taking first watch at this point. So everyone else is kind of starting their long rest period while you're on first watch and kind of working with some ingredients that you found in your backpack.
Yeah, whatever it was, the readiness pack.
Yeah, and the readiness pack has a lot of different, you look at the different components of your ingredients, and you start kind of building a trail mix almost, some of the local nuts and berries and dried fruits and some of the other things that represent the local flora that are in and represented in your readiness pack, including a good deal of stuff that you got from the Sawtooth clan previous days earlier as you were helping them. So you have a lot of these unique ingredients. And looking at them, you begin to wonder if maybe you can assemble these into some kind of way of bolstering everybody's resistance to the heat. And that's when you find some of the elixirs that you remember acquiring back in bug out bag. Some of the elixirs that you acquired back in the what was the gnome community that you guys were at back in Gnomeworks? The Underdwell. Because you did quite a bit of shopping there and 5-finger discounting while you were there as well. And you remember getting something from Sibo's house that seemed to have a magical property to it. So now give me sleight of hand with advantage as you take the assemblage of ingredients, organize them into what you think might be an interesting trail mix.
That is 30. 30.
Nice. As you do this and you pour the strange liquid elixir in and around, and you just kind of reach out. What's your deity of preference right now?
I think Tamora's not been doing a whole lot for us, but she's my main.
Convert to helm.
Aren't you
You
supposed
watch
to like
as Xanath
be flagellating?
walks over to you and hands you a pamphlet, and then goes back to
Little
sleep.
chick tract.
Aren't you
So when
supposed to
she
be
goes back to
flagellating?
sleep, she's just sitting in a chair with a pamphlet rack because she's not allowed to actually approach you. But she's just sitting there waiting for you to come over and be converted to helm.
Think about it.
But I'm gonna go with Timora. See if maybe she wants to actually. Well, she did just give me 2 amazing rolls on this, so
She did.
Yeah.
Now give me performance with advantage
performance with advantage.
as you blend all the ingredients.
What is that? That is a dirty 20.
Nice. Roll a d8, please.
D8. That is a 4.
4. So at the end of your turn at watch, and with your subsequent short rest taken, allowing you to eventually slip into your meditative state, you test your trail mix that you made. Anybody who consumes this will have resistance to fire for up to 4 hours.
That's incredible.
And I'll say you have enough for everyone to be given 2 uses.
Okay. So I'm going to make a note of that real fast in my sheet here.
So who's taking the second watch?
I can take it.
Okay. Puck, while you're on watch, give me a perception check.
Maybe somebody more perceptive should have taken it.
The hithertos and the hitherfores.
17.
Okay, pretty good.
Right, bad.
Once again, this environment is tricky. And although with Zenith's maintenance and kind of obscurity of the tiny hut to give you guys all the advantages in the world, you watch as a lava creature kind of just walks by within 100 feet of the hut. Never really pays it any attention or any mind. It just seems to like sniff the air, look around, and then crawl in the direction of a nearby rivulet of lava and disappear into it. You watch as a small flaming bird-like creature just squawk as it kind of flies out over and disappears in the different directions. Every now and then there's these like little shifts of energy that pop in amongst the ash and smoke. A small kind of swirling tornado or like a dust devil of heat and fire kind of sits there and twists about for a moment. It explodes into flame and form and then collapses in on itself and moves off in another direction.
Oh.
But other than that, your watch goes relatively undisturbed. No one seems to notice anything or approach the tiny house.
Other than all the animals and stuff around us, nothing happened.
Yeah, I mean, you're in their wild climb as far as you can tell. They haven't noticed you guys. Who's taking the final watch?
I got it. Oh, no, go for it. Go for it, Winter.
So Winter will take final watch. Earthen will actually get a full night's sleep at this point.
Hey, I can use it.
Winter, go ahead and give me a perception check as you remain on watch.
I don't like that face.
Yeah.
He's a 10.
10? You sit there looking out and around the environment, and you're kind of lost in thought for a moment. Thinking about how, if it's true that this convergence somehow is the focal point of a drudgery, and if the different Fey courts are correct about the risk of a place like this, you lose your thoughts to memory. And you find yourself in the summer court. Some point in your past, you were there. And you're listening to the kind of musings of the different individuals that make up this Fey court. You can see a fawn kind of speaking to a creature that appears to resemble that of like almost like a pixie-like creature, but larger in size, as you recognize her as the current queen of the Summer Court. She goes by the name of Sasha. And they seem to be in a very kind of deep thought debate about the focal point of convergence and drudgery and the weakness of magical veil and existence. And this is triggered. Unfortunately, you're not paying attention because of this. So you're gaining some knowledge because you're lost in memory. You might get eaten by a lava monster. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll see. We'll see that roll in a minute. But they're having a conversation about creatures who exist as creators. And they're talking about a period of time called the Founding. And it's generally believed that the Fae has always been older than the material plane, that the Fae and the Shadowfell energies and existences gave rise to the idea of magic. The Sylvans then brought that magic to the material plane, and the material plane therefore fell, ebbed, succeeded, or failed based on how that magic was interpreted. Those of not the Fae have always thought that the period known as the Founding of Exandria is when the gods fought each other for control. But the Fae have never believed that. The Fae don't necessarily believe that gods are purposeful or intentional. It's not too uncommon for an archfey to think themselves a god, or even a lesser Fae to manipulate a community of gullible individuals into thinking that they're a god. So the Fae have always found humanoids that exist in the material plane as very kind of playful and interesting emotional creatures that kind of feed their sense of awareness. But then you're reminded of the idea of creators that the Fae believe in. The Fae believe that there are mysterious entities they refer to as creators that are the origination of all things. Ancient sentient beings that drifted the astral sea for eternity. And every now and then, these creators inadvertently come in contact with worlds of existence. And they create this idea. They create what's called opportunity, myth, lore, the understanding of history. And they've always been under the impression that these are lost archfey. Archfey that are no longer connected to the Fey realm. And that, in fact, what those on the material plane feel are actual god references are really just lost archfey that have somehow collided and then came into existence within the material plane. And it's their kind of sentient awareness that permeates the myth of gods and goddesses and prime deity awareness. And for whatever reason, at the end of your watch, what Puck described and what Xanath described, and the idea of this ancient, cold, despairing individual that they seem to be aware of deep in this volcanic environment, just triggers your mind for some reason of that memory, of that story, of that myth. I rolled really shitty on the random encounter table. So nothing takes advantage of your moment of distraction lost in that thought. But it's almost like being here in this spot, this convergence of lots of activity going on. And although the Obsidian Gate has sealed the shadow prison of Zahir, the fact that he was imprisoned here makes this spot a convergence. An ancient entity is here. Somehow gateways are opening and closing without any semblance of control. It's almost as if something is coming undone. An ancient mind, an ancient consciousness is eroding and coming undone here. All of you feel yourselves nudged at the feet as winter is gradually waking each one of you. You can go ahead and click off a long rest at this point. And we are now on day 3 of our journey through the depths.
Hey guys, so it's been a really odd series of weird ideas. We have this scroll of summon undead, or not summon, speak to undead, right? Whatever, we couldn't destroy it, right? Remember Korgoth tried to burn it up and it just reformed like that. Do you think it's worth trying to use that?
Did we think that scroll was to speak to the thing in the mountain?
It was like you could ask a question of a god, but possibly undead, if I recall that correctly. That's a lot of pages back.
I don't know if I want to talk to that guy.
And Winter, you're free to let everyone know of your memory if you choose to. Otherwise, you can keep it to yourself.
I do.
Okay.
I'll get your drop.
Oh.
So do you fill everyone in on what that memory was?
I do.
Okay. So everything I explained to Winter, you guys are now being made aware of as you're all kind of waking up and doing your routine after a long rest. And Spot is also handing out 2 little bags of trail mix to everybody.
Why does this bag feel hot?
We're on a volcano? What the fuck do you mean, why does it feel hot?
Just a point of notice. I mean, come on.
Is this trail mix with chocolate chips, or is it just mostly nuts?
It's mostly nuts and berries.
Oh, man.
So you mean flavorless?
Well, I mean,
I'm sure it's good if Spot's making it.
Just take Erwin's bags back.
Yeah, give me those. You don't deserve fire resistance.
Why does it taste like I'm chewing pumice gravel?
Should we get moving?
Just terrible.
Okay, the scroll was infernal writing, infernal speak, powerful for purpose, spell effect to project towards something.
And we'll say you guys are having this conversation because the tiny hut fades. You gather up your gear, and are we going in the direction of the excavation site, the volcano, Sibo, or what is the general direction you guys are going in? And we'll say whatever direction you pick, you can just have this conversation as you head off in that direction.
Clutch is first, right?
I think so. Was there any other?
Was it Mason's out there somewhere?
Yeah,
too.
Mason's out there.
Oh, right.
Sibo's out there. I think the clutch. The clutch is the next closest thing that ties to stuff that we have on us right now. Because the dragon thing was supposed to be by the clutch. We know Korgoth is also going to make his way towards the clutch eventually. I would really rather his guys not show up and be dead because of what attacks them. Although they might show up and find us dead because of what attacks us. But
So everybody votes for clutch?
I think Sibo's doing fine and she doesn't need help. My only question would be, now that we know everything Puck told us about the fire elementals, do we have any concern about the tiny, powerful fire elemental moving towards the volcano?
Well, was it walking in the direction of the volcano? It just walked away from the statue. I don't
Just
know if we
like-
got a direction on that.
Over the lava fields, right?
Yeah, just going in the general direction.
All
that-
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to track that thing down too, but
Why don't we head? The dragon seems like a priority. Why don't we head towards the dragon and at the end of the day, I can try and scry and see what they're doing with the elemental ball.
should we let Sibo know about Mason?
Which direction is Mason headed?
The last time you scried on him, it felt like he was going in the direction of. Actually, you felt like he was off in the direction. Let me pull that up really quick.
I thought he was going generally towards the volcano area, not.
Yeah, it felt like he was going in the direction of the Shadow Peaks. Like he was crossing astride the lava fields. Because when you saw him with the weakened state of the other two, the volcano was behind them as if they were going a different direction.
So Sibo's at 5, Mason's heading to 4, and we would be heading to 3.
Correct.
We're in between 1 and 2. Yeah.
Should I send a message to Sibo and let her know about I could maybe try and tell her both about Mason and about the giants with the lava ball and see if that pings anything for her?
The elemental egg. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The elemental egg. All right, I can try and do
Hey,
that while we're
Caliban
walking.
could steal it. I mean, she's good at stealing anything.
She's a good little thief, for sure.
I mean, there's a limit to stealing a 10-foot spherical object made of raw lava, but
Hey.
okay.
She stole the
she
big
stole a
cage.
giant magical
Yeah.
cage with a guy in it. So
Yeah, but
I
I
mean-
mean, that was still just a live pet crate. For the
it
most
wasn't
part. It
lava,
that
but
big.
I'll send a message to Sibo while we're walking, and I'll say, Sibo headed to Ember Fields. Lava giants with fire elemental ball crossing lava fields. Mason heading towards Shadow Peaks. Keep in contact with us.
Just barely a minute goes by. Ah, that was you last night. Good. Glad that everybody is safe. I understand. Me and my companion have found a way down into the volcano. We will send you more information when we can. And cuts off at the 25-word mark in the reply.
Awesome. Well, she doesn't seem super concerned about the lava ball. She's headed down into the volcano with Caliban. So she says she'll keep in touch.
okay.
Hmm?
That was a cool.
That
beat.
sounds
Yeah, what was that?
Okay, there
That
is
was
something
my-
beeping.
No, that was my 3D printer wrapping up its print. Beep, beep, beep. Like I wish it had a setting that I could turn that off because it's the most annoying bubblegum setting. It's like I don't need to know that my robot machine that prints terrain for me is happy when it's done. It doesn't have feelings. Just be done
Oh.
printing.
It said, "I'm going to bed now."
Oh,
It is a magic box that takes heated plastic and turns it into really cool terrain.
If this
That's all
was a
it needs to
Pixar
know.
movie, if this was a Pixar movie, you would learn that it was actually more than that. It
yeah,
has
a
emotion.
3D printing machine.
It's
It's
gonna
like late
print-
at night, little tiny plastic elves sneak into the room and
No,
chisel
you're-
out all the terrain and leave it for me inside the.
You're just gonna
3D
wake up
printer.
in the morning with a 3D printed middle finger. Like,
3D printed horse.
I didn't plan that.
They're not thinking big enough. 3D printed horse head in his bed.
Yeah. All right. So, I'm gonna pull out the scroll, the infernal scroll, and kind of look at it again.
So to clarify, you guys are walking in the direction.
the mist
of-
veil,
Okay, so you're heading towards the Mist Veil.
because
Okay.
on the other side of that's where the clutch is, right?
Correct. And everyone can give me survival checks, or between the map and the general area that you're in, give me a survival check. See if you can figure out how long that trip might be.
8.
Okay.
Hey. 21.
Okay. Winter.
14.
Okay.
Xanth looked really confused for a second.
A lot of math to do, guys. It's a 17.
17. As a group, you kind of get the feeling this should only take about a day to get over the ridge that you can see. Luckily, you're moving a little bit further away from the lava fields and out of some of the denser portions of the ash and the smoke cloud. While not a dramatic drop in temperature, it's not assailing your physicalness like it was before. The closer into the lava fields you got, you're actually going at an angle and beginning to get away from it. It looks like you'll get a reprieve from all the heat going over the first ridge. But once you go down into the vale, you'll be bordering the fields to the right. And then on the other side of the vale is the outcropping of another ridge. And on the other side of that ridge should be where the excavation site is. Should be where the pit mine is. It'll take you down into where you believe the egg clutch is currently being held. So if everything goes according to plan, by the end of this day of travel, you should be up on that ridge looking down on the excavation site.
Awesome.
Right on.
So Earthing, go ahead and continue as you are.
Yep. I pull out the scroll, the infernal scroll, and just kind of look at it. I remember we tried to destroy it, Korgoth tried to destroy it, and it didn't destroy. It disappeared it disintegrated and came right back. And this thing is for speaking to one of the dead gods, betrayer gods, something like that. Maybe not someone we necessarily want to talk to, but I wondered if it couldn't be reappropriated to serve our purpose. Do you think?
What would you reappropriate it for?
Maybe the power of the scroll could get this indifferent asshole's attention.
Yeah, I wonder because it's for speaking to an undead god or a dead god, right? Is that
Yeah, like
basically
when
the
you
gist?
guys originally discovered this thing, it exuded a lot of sense of power and some very advanced kind of mystical ceremonial purpose. It feels like it's supposed to be used as part of a ceremony to either interpret or possibly kind of understand undead divinity. Okay, now that's not my printer.
Oh,
That's
sorry,
right.
that's probably me.
But I mean, yeah, it may be that, but that's why I'm thinking if we can't make some alterations to it and possibly repurpose it to talk to something that's not undead, but that's sense of attachment to anything is undead.
Maybe we can, because that sounds like a good idea. I'm just concerned about doing it at this moment because I think we maybe need to hurry and we're kind of in a vulnerable position inside the volcano.
Yeah, fair.
But it actually sounds like we can maybe do something really cool with it. I'm just claustrophobic, I guess, because we're so close to two like pretty powerful, not very nice beings.
Which kind of lends to that overall convergence challenge. Like it feels like a lot of overlapping things going on in this general area.
Yeah, the two creatures plus the residuum in this area and the Fey influence is there's a lot.
lot.
Going on.
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
Well,
it kind of feels like a powder keg.
yeah. Would I by studying the scroll, would I be able to possibly meter out whether or not I could make modifications to it to create?
Give me an
Kinda what we're
Arcana
looking for.
check. Yeah, give me an Arcana check as you kind of take this time to really study the way it's written, the kind of like
Let me give you guidance on that.
Well, I had a good roll, so
All right.
I mean, like I got a dirty 20 out of it. So
Guidance is free.
Yeah, I would use guidance.
okay, D4, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
21.
All right.
Nice.
I'm sure that'll make the difference.
At
The
least
trick
it might
was-
get me started, right? So.
Yeah, well, the trick with scrolls is they're usually written for very specific purposes.
Mhm.
This is designed to be consumed within the ceremony it's intended for, so you're not really sure what the intended ceremony might be. Altering it feels like it could destroy its original purpose. So it doesn't feel like it could be altered to any positive or negative effect, other than it could corrupt the scroll and make it completely unusable. And it feels like very advanced necromantic magic was involved with this.
Can I, maybe not right this second, but can I pull out the book, the tome that I got from Vasarisk as possibly a reference point to gain insight the next time I might try to modify this, assuming I can't do it immediately?
I would
right
say
away,
your
but-
previous examinations of his tome, this doesn't feel like the same. This doesn't feel like the same. Like, because you got the scroll. Where'd you originally get the scroll from?
the boat, one of the crash
Yeah.
ships.
Yeah. The scroll, while it feels relevant to the challenges that may be here, none of its magical kind of properties feel the same.
Okay. In that case, yeah. As we travel, I don't have to do it right this second, but as we travel, I might thumb through that necromantic manual and see if there might be anything useful in there to possibly glean into getting the attention of this indifferent son of a bitch who doesn't seem to care about anything,
Okay.
but may or may not be at the source of all this nonsense.
He is
that
the
we're in
god of
middle
apathy. So with that, everyone give me
Clang your helmet, but
yeah, everyone give me perception checks as you are making this very kind of like steady pace in the direction of the veil.
so 21.
Perception, right?
Yep.
18.
18.
I think Winter rolled like a 5 based on her face.
A 13.
18.
Okay. What'd
I
you
just
get,
got
Spot?
lucky because I have a +9. Okay, you can tell how bad I roll.
Good
'cause I have
here.
a
You were
plus
too far
9
from
on
your microphone,
perception.
Spot.
18.
18. And Xanath, what'd you get?
I got a nat 1, which becomes a 9.
Helm
Definitely
was
lost
talking to
in-
you. Distracted
Definitely
you.
lost in thought. Getting further away from the general heat and area of the lava fields, you're now coming up on a rocky ridgeline that maybe is only about maybe 20, 30 feet up in the air, almost as if a mountain over time has just kind of gradually eroded and collapsed in to like the ever-growing expanse of this volcanic environment. The smoke is thinner here, but as you guys come up on this ridge at the half-day mark and looking down into the veiled mists down below you, it's almost like a smoky fog, and it just spreads out all in front of you. But on the far reaches of it, where the sun is kind of filtering down into the spot, you can see that there is another ridge on the other side that should lead you up out onto that ridge top, and then you should be able to see down into the excavation site. It's taken you maybe a half a day now to get to this point.
Is there any
There's
path
something
around?
strange about this smoke-filled fog, though.
Is there
it's
any path
dense.
around, or is it just we have to go through?
It feels like there could be ways to go around it. Give me a survival check as you kind of examine the countryside and the overall environment to see if there's another possible path to take.
17 plus 5 plus 2, 24.
24. if you were to follow this ridge line that you're on now completely to the right, you'd end up in the lava fields, and you'd have to traverse all the lava fields to get to the other side. You'd probably lose about a half a day's travel and probably run into some of those creatures that you've been trying to avoid. Going to the left affords you a trail that leads to a set of sheer sharpened cliff faces that rise about 100 or so feet up in the air that create like a broken wall of rock that traverses all the way along the edge of this misty veil and then comes out the other side. While it does afford you a way around it, it looks to be like a lot of climbing, a lot of getting over rocks, cliffs, figuring out ways to find footholds, handholds, and trails to make your way in that direction. Once again, it looks passable, but with a lot of effort, and could put you a day or so behind schedule due to the overall difficulty of the terrain. By far, going through the Vale feels like the swiftest terrain, but it's dense. The smoke and the fog makeup of the environment it feels unnaturally it feels like it's an unnatural environment. All of you just get that kind of little chill up your spine, some goose pimples on your arm, just kind of get that weird vibe. This doesn't feel right.
If we were to fly over it, if I was to polymorph one of us and we were to fly over it, is it possible we would catch the attention of anything in the fog?
Well, anything's possible, according to the theory of Rick and Morty. Everything's in space, Morty. Literally everything.
I can cast Pass Without a Trace, if that helps any.
I mean, it's not as hot here. There's not a lot of fire. The rock was incredibly large bird, fit all of us easily on its back. And I've got the ability to do that.
Off the right, you hear a huge explosion way off in the distance as the volcano erupts. A few minutes later,
timed that with I said rock.
A few minutes later, small pelting stones. Except now that you're a little bit closer, a couple lava bombs arc. Off in the distance.
Yep. I really don't want to walk through this thing. I don't want to walk around it either, because that doesn't look like any more fun either.
I mean, we're gonna encounter something ridiculous and powerful and painful no matter where we go, if this is the fastest route.
If one of us is a giant fight-worthy bird, I mean, we're in better shape, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a fan of that.
So, so it would be someone turns into a bird and then we just fly sort of at the top of the fog?
Yeah.
Can you turn me into a giant bird?
Can I turn who?
Can you turn me into a giant bird?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to.
Hell yeah.
So as you guys are at the ridge looking down, the easement of the ridge kind of goes down 30 feet into where the edge of the fog begins. And from this height, you're almost just slightly above the fog line. So the fog feels like it rests about 20 feet in height. And it just expands for a good 2 or 3 miles directly out in front of you. So you get the feeling that the polymorph should last. By flight, you could probably cross over the Vale in probably in an hour easily at this point.
Well, look down at Puck. You ready for this?
Wait, can I hold on to Pass Without a Trace even as a bird?
Nope.
No, once you're polymorphed.
But I mean, we're in the air and we're.
But I would say by now, Pass Without a Trace is already faded because it only lasts up to an hour.
Oh.
But there's also
well, not for today, no.
Yeah, but there is a rock that lives around here, right? So the likelihood that something sees a rock with things on its back versus just the regular rock.
Oh yeah, no, okay. You know what? I'm doing it. Thank you. I'm always wanted to be a giant bird, and now it's happening. Let's do this.
Back up. I'm telling everybody else, This is gonna get real big real fast.
And this is concentration for you, right, Earthen?
It is concentration for me.
Okay.
Hey, I'm not. I don't. You know, the smoke affects me. Can somebody give me a hand here before we do this, just in case?
What do you want?
A hand to do what, Earthen?
I just if something happens and we're in the air and I inhale a bunch of smoke and start coughing and gagging and lose concentration and we plummet hundreds of feet down to the lava below, that just doesn't sound great to me. But if you could help me out with I don't know. I don't want to say Constitution, but Constitution.
Oh, yeah, I can give you enhanced.
I was trying really
It's so
hard to hint
not
at
to
it.
be meta.
I mean,
It
I
just got worse and worse and worse as he was trying to describe it.
Well, but like
those
Hey,
saves we
throw.
made the whole
Zenith,
time
can
we're
you help
coming
me
over.
not be a fragile little, temperamental weakling? I'm just saying.
Hey, attacked. I feel attacked.
Good,
I'm
he was
DM,
attacking
no
you.
less. All right, I will give you.
Spot's just mad I'm not
advantage.
turning him into the bird.
Oh, so I'll give you advantage on con checks, and it'll also give you 2d6 temporary hit points.
Cool.
Very nice.
Is that Twilight Sanctuary thing? I mean, that would be cool to fly in. That would be actually really awesome to fly in.
Oh, I suppose I could do Twilight.
But I don't know if that
Sanctuary.
does that give us bonuses or is it
Well,
just hit points?
so let's see. Twilight Sanctuary would. Basically, if you ended your turn in the sphere, I could either give you temp HP or I could end an effect causing you to be charmed or frightened. So it wouldn't give you advantage on Constitution checks, but it would give everyone temp HP.
Could you cast Leomund's tiny hut on the back of the rock?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
DM will not allow.
I'd be interested in the combination of challenges there.
I mean, that's the future of air travel right there. A
We would all
comfortable
remain in
room
the
on
hut.
the back of a giant flying bird.
We'd be in the hut, and the hut would be on
Surface,
on
a
one
stable
sort of
surface.
flat plane.
Oh,
Yeah.
for some reason, all I could think of is like a Flintstones cartoon with the giant pterodactyl and the
With a yurt
cabin
on the
built
back.
on the top of it as their airline service.
Hey, it's the future of air travel, right? All right, we ready? You got me with the.
I mean, I don't really see a restriction for tiny hut from that aspect, right? It's just got to be. I mean, it's got to be cast on a surface, and if it's cast, then the person who cast it, in order to maintain control of it, has to be within sight of it. I keep thinking that there's a magical neutrality to it, however, so I don't know if Earthen would be able to be inside of it. So I think there's like an anti-magic effect from it, if I don't recall.
Well, yeah, it is like magic can't pass in or out of the hut.
Right, and I feel like that should affect Earthen's concentration on the magic ability of polymorph.
Although, really, like his spell is on Tally. Tally would be partway inside the hut.
Tally gains no benefits from the hut. As far as
Tally-
I would actually be okay with Earthen casting polymorph because he's not casting it from within the hut. He can maintain his concentration while in the hut.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm okay with that because it's not like it's describing it as an anti-magic field. It's just saying that while you're in the hut, you can't cast magic outward.
Yeah.
And since he's already cast it, all he's got to do is maintain his concentration.
And we're going to be
Some might
mostly
argue,
hard
though,
to
that-
see on the back
That
of
the
a rock.
interior of a Lehman's tiny hut is like a little miniature pocket of like other dimensional existence.
Mhm.
So can polymorph maintain concentration if you're not in the same kind of plane of existence as Puck?
So the language says 10-foot radius, immobile dome of force. Although it's not moving, it's staying on the
It's
back.
not moving.
Yeah.
everything
Right, it's
around
an
it is moving.
immobilized dome or it's an immobilized magical structure. But it'd be on the back of the rock, which is what Puck is currently being turned into.
Our problem might be the spell fails if its area includes a larger creature.
Well,
there
but
you
we're
go.
not including it. We're on it, right?
Well, no, but that's the thing. Trying
Right
to
on there.
I think that's their way of preventing you from doing what you're doing right now.
That may be the issue.
I'm almost
It was worth the try.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Now, I think
Um,
another way. Now, does it say cast or exist, or what's the wording say about a larger creature?
The spell fails if its area includes a larger creature or more than 9 creatures. Creatures
Okay.
and objects within the dome, when you cast a spell, can move through it.
So one
freely.
possibility
Within. It's
is
not
to
within the
find
dome.
a flat rock, cast it on the rock, and then have Puck's form pick up the flattened rock and then carry it over the Misty Veil. That's one possibility.
That could work.
Or do you know any other creatures with really great telekinetic ability that I could just randomly turn someone into and they could just move us all? You know, that would work too. But I've seen a rock. I know what a rock looks like, and it doesn't look like Puck, but she'll look like that soon.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I just dropped everyone by mistake. This TPK brought to you by Puck.
To be fair, if I do sneeze because of the smoke,
A large, like bird-like ruffling sneeze.
You
and,
don't
like,
have
everything
those
just
concentration. I do.
goes puffing outwards.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I presumably Punch have slow fall, so just kind of like, sex for them, right?
I can fly. I have a ring of fly, remember? So
yes, but I want to be a giant bird.
yeah. So okay. Clear out.
All right. So with that, all of you kind of clear the immediate area out. You watch as Earthen begins to kind of perform the magical kind of invocation.
I pull out my viol and da 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 da. Yeah, that's it.
Start
Okay.
singing the bird is the
Okay.
word.
Puck's like a bird. She
Bird.
went my way.
And you guys watch this huge bird-like creature that looks identical to the rock that's the guardian of the Sawtooth clan and was the original guardian of the Eight Clutch. But now here Puck is gone. Very confused look on Punch's face.
It's okay, buddy.
Okay, buddy. It's okay.
And her huge wingspan just kind of flourishes and she kind of settles into a sitting position. She's quite large.
Pakaw.
And just
All right.
in case we need them, let me pull up a stat block for it so we have it available.
Ooh. Thank you for flying Puck Airlines. We can all start boarding now.
I'm gonna pet Punch and just kind of be like, it's okay. Just because she's a giant bird doesn't mean your mom doesn't love you. Just kind of lead him up on the.
Well, and Punch is he's kind of staring at Puck with like a strange kind of, tilt that a cat's head gets when it's trying to interpret the strangeness that just happened.
A chirp,
And it's a
chirp.
mix between, what's your highest CR that you can affect, Earthen?
I can turn into up to 11, up to my level.
And your level's currently 11, right?
11. Yeah, we're level 11. Yeah,
That's the
That's the-
CR.
yeah. The way polymorph works, it says.
My God, I forgot this thing has a strength of 28.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Finally, I'm strong.
You're already stronger than me and what's his face over here.
Yes, my +1.
all my stuff is based on Dex. I'm not a strong or a smart kitty.
I'm just very charismatic.
So I put the rock stats in the Discord.
Yeah.
And we are currently on day 3 of our travels in the depths.
Yep.
If,
And we're
if,
flying over some misty veil.
if we're not doing the giant flat rock approach, I'll give enhance ability to Puck too for dexterity, so she can roll stealth checks if she needs to.
Okay. And meanwhile, while all this is going on, the volcanic activity is picking up a bit. There's The explosions are a little bit more occasional. Now, you guys all riding on Puck's back?
Mhm.
Every now and then you could hear as you guys crawl up onto the rock's back and kind of find positions of comfort to hold on to the great feathers on her back. You just hear that whistling arc of the fire bombs, the lava bombs, just off in the distance. A couple of them land in the general direction that you guys are in. And then once again, the pelting of the pebbles and rock and the ash kind of covering the general area. And with that explosion of energy and effect, there's one thing all of you notice just as Puck lifts off up into the air. Even though there's eddies of currents, you can even feel her wings get affected by the thermals underneath her wings that kind of lift and rise her form as a rock. It's almost like she's walking for the first time. You know, she's just kind of screeching with interpretation of being this creature.
Should probably have let her practice this first.
You notice that the veil never is affected by wind. It never shifts according to the changing eddies of wind and temperature. And at this point, as you guys are now up above it, flying as far as you can't quite go up into the smoke and ash, so you have to stay in between where the veil crests at the highest point and where the smoke and ash kind of covers the entire skyline. And you're now flying in between that point, that thin
like Flappy
layer.
Bird, except smoke and ash.
Yeah. And the air's still not
Puck's
very good here. I mean, it's not exactly overwhelming with heat, but the smoke and ash is still a little bit of a distraction, but not enough to cause too much harm. So Puck, you're currently in the rock form, and here's the challenge that you have with being a rock. Because you're not a druid, obviously, you take on the kind of like understanding of a rock.
Ooh.
Your intelligence is essentially 3. So you're aware of your existence, the travelers on your back, you have an awareness of purpose. But the surroundings around you is not really anything that you feel knowledgeable of. But those up on Puck's back, Spot, Earthen, Winter, and Xanath, you're actually watching the landscape roll underneath you from below. I need the 4 of you to give me perception checks.
26.
Okay.
You son of a bitch. 25.
25.
I got a 17.
Nice. Winter, what'd you get?
A 9.
A 9? Boy, them random number generators have not been well for everybody.
It just
But the
helps
group
to have
as
a
a whole-
+9.
I would say the group as a whole would point this out. As the rock gains enough altitude to maintain a steady flapping of their wings in the direction of the other side of the veil, flying to avoid the cliffs off to the left, not getting too close to the ash and lava fields off to your right, it still forces you to kind of stay over the majority of the veil. And from this height, all of you look down, with the exception of Puck, who's just focused on getting over this. You could see the relief of a massive ethereal face that is making up the entirety of the veil below you. You can see the 2 great eye sockets. You can see the high cheekbones, the jaw, and at this point the veil is swirling around. And then you watch as something with a bit of like smoky kind of effervescence around it lifts out of the veil, connected to tendrils of cloud and smoke trailing behind it as it's lifting itself like out of the veil and up. But you can see its trail being left behind, this huge like serpentine face, this just ice cold eye socket staring up at you as you watch this shadowy form getting closer. And you see it's got multiple wings, talons that extend out at the side, and it lets out this blood-curdling, just like screech of predatory anger in your direction. And that's where we're going to finish tonight. And we'll be back here next weekend. I'm going to have so much fun building this encounter board. I love aerial battles. I even get to use what Puck is. Did I show you that? Here, I'll show you what Puck looks like.
We have a rock.
Screech.
This is just going to be like Top Gun next episode.
That's awesome.
Pretty sweet.
Flaming wings.
Even if I'm far away from my camera from like where I sit, you can see it pretty well.
Oh yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Pretty sweet.
That's a pretty giant bird.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. You guys are gonna enjoy fighting this creature. It's gonna be a blast.
Hey, out of the frying pan into the fire, right?
That's right. Hey, everybody, thank you for coming out. You guys linger. Let's talk about the schedule that we have coming up for May. Everyone else, thank you for coming out and watching. Don't forget, be safe, be kind. Be sure to play a game. It's good for you. We'll see you all next week. Good night, everybody.